talks between Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, one becomes enlightened with the transcendental knowledge of the mellows of Radha and Krishna's pastimes. Thus, one can develop unalloyed love for the lotus feet of Radha and Krishna. The author requests every reader to hear these talks with faith and without argument. By studying them in this way, one will be able to understand this confidential truth of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This part of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes is most confidential. One can derive benefit quickly only by faith. Otherwise, by arguing, one will always remain far away. He who has accepted as everything the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Nityananda Prabhu, and Advaita Prabhu can attain this transcendental treasure.
Spurti.
He who has, I offer 10 million obeisances unto the lotus feet of Sri Ramananda Raya, because from his mouth much spiritual information has been expanded by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I have tried to preach the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Ramananda Raya in accordance with the notebooks of Sri Swarupa Damodara. Praying at the lotus feet of Sri Rupa and Sri Raghunatha, always desiring their mercy, I, Krishna Dasa, narrate Sri Caitanya Charitamrta, following in their footsteps.
Let's go back to text 312, and there's a purport. Read the translation again, Spurti.
Okay, 312.
Yes.
One second. At the end of every chapter, the author admits the value of the disciplinic succession. He never claims to have written this transcendental literature by carrying out research work. He simply admits its indebtedness to the notes taken by Swarupa Damodara, Raghunatha Dasa Goswami, and other authoritative persons. This is the way
of writing transcendental literatures, which are never meant for so-called scholars and research workers. The process is Mahajano Yenagata Sapanta. One has to strictly follow great personalities and acharyas.
Acharya Van Purusho Veda. One who has the favor of the acharya knows everything. This statement, made by Kaviraj Goswami, is very valuable for all pure devotees.
Anandi.
Oh, sometimes the Prakrita Sahajiyas claim that they have heard the truth from their guru, but one cannot have transcendental knowledge simply by hearing from a guru who is not bona fide.
The guru must be bona fide, and he must have heard from his own bona fide guru. Only then will his message be accepted as bona fide.
Lord Krishna confirms this in the Bhagavad Gita. Sri Bhagavanovacha imam vivasvate yogam proktavan aham avyayam vivasvan manave praha manur ikshvakave bravit.
The Supreme Lord said, I instructed this imperishable science of yoga to the sun god Vivashvan, and Vivashvan instructed it to Manu, the father of mankind, and Manu in turn instructed it to Ikshvaku. In this way, the message is transmitted in the bona fide spiritual disciplic succession from bona fide spiritual master to bona fide student.
Srila Kaviraj Goswami therefore, as usual, concludes this chapter by reasserting his faith in the lotus feet of the 6 Goswamis. Thus he is able to set forth this transcendental literature, Sri Caitanya Charitamrta.
And the translation again, I've tried to preach the pastimes of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's meeting with Ramananda Roy in accordance with the notebooks of Sri Swarup Damodar. So Swarup Damodar took notes on what Lord Chaitanya said and did, and he also mentions in the purport Raghunath Das Goswami and other authoritative persons took notes. So that's what this book is based upon. All right. Now, off to the next chapter. Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's travels to the holy places. And it's your turn, Anandi.
Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu converted the inhabitants of South India. These people were as strong as elephants, but they were in the clutches of the crocodiles of various philosophies, such as the Buddhist, Jain, and Mayavadi philosophies. With his disc of mercy, the Lord delivered them all by converting them into Vaishnavas, devotees of the Lord. All glories to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu.
How come you always get those verses, Anandi?
That's pretty funny. All glories to Lord Nityananda Prabhu. All glories to Sri Advaita Prabhu. And all glories to all the devotees of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Oh, 5, sorry. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's tour of South India was certainly very extraordinary because he visited many thousands of places of pilgrimage there. On the plea of visiting all these holy places, the Lord converted many thousands of residents and thus delivered them. Simply by touching the holy places, he made them
into great places of pilgrimage. I cannot chronologically record all the places of pilgrimage visited by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I can only summarize everything by saying that the Lord visited all holy places, right and left, coming and going.
I have a question.
Oh, sorry.
Okay, Matthew?
In the last chapter, Sri Chaitanya says that he's a Mayavadi sannyasi. Is that true?
He took sannyas from, Keshava Bharati, who was in the Mayavad Sampradaya. And the danda that he carries, I think, is ekadanda instead of a tree danda. Ekadanda means there's only one. So he appeared as a Mayavadi sannyasi.
But he's not preaching Mayavadi philosophy.
Certainly not. No.
Okay.
He was just, yeah, that's kind of curious how he brought that up. I guess he was just like being humble and saying, Ramananda Roy, you're opening me up to the world of Radha and Krishna.
Right.
I'm a Mayavadi. I don't know anything about this.
And then the other thing I was going to point out was there's some irony because he tells Ramananda Roy not to tell anybody about this exchange they've had, but then here it is written down and we're reading it.
Yeah, how did that get across? And that happens a lot in these things. The story of the Shakshi Gopal, I think, didn't Krishna appear? Krishna appeared to the younger Brahmin and the older Brahmin and said, you are my eternal servants. And lifetime after lifetime, you engage in the same pastime. And didn't he say, don't tell anybody that I'm talking to you? Was that in that story?
I think so, yeah.
it comes up a lot. Someone gets a spurti of Krishna. Krishna speaks to them, and then Krishna says, "Don't tell anyone what just transpired here." Um, so yeah, sometime later it gets written down, or I don't know. But yeah, you notice that. Don't tell anybody. But there it is written down. Um,
Well, so I mean, Jesus did that too. He would say, you know, don't certain times he would say, don't reveal what I'm saying. And in that context, it was because it wasn't time yet.
yeah,
And so maybe that's the same idea, is that Chaitanya wanted to live out his pastimes, or you know, demonstrate the pastimes of a pure devotee
yeah,
before it was all everybody knew, you know, that he was Krishna.
yeah.
No,
Oh, is that Elijah?
Nope.
Thought I heard Elijah. Hearing things.
but Richa, can you explain why there was such an emphasis? Because, you know, in Buddhist philosophy, they, for instance, they don't say, oh, you know, the crocodile philosophy of Mayavadi and, you know, Vaishnavism, etc. They don't say any of that. Um, and
Oh, the
yes, what is this emphasis on saying this is the way and this is the only way?
okay. Well, I'm looking
It's,
at the purport to text one. Uh,
I don't think it's going to follow along with the text, right?
well, it does talk about elephants and Gajendra. Let's see. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's converting the people of South India into Vaishnavas is compared herein to Lord Vishnu's delivering Gajendra, the elephant, from the attack of a crocodile. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited South India, almost all the residents were within the jaws of the crocodiles of Buddhist, Jain, and Mayavad philosophy. Here, Kaviraj Goswami states that although these people were as strong as elephants, they were almost in the clutches of death because they were being attacked by the crocodiles of various philosophies. However, just as Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in the form of Vishnu saved the elephant Gajendra from the clutches of a crocodile, so he saved all the people of South India from the clutches of various philosophies by converting them into Vaishnavas. Yeah, it doesn't really answer your question.
Not at all.
Yeah, just kind of gets you more angry, doesn't it?
No, it doesn't get me angry. I mean, we just listened, you know, to Wako to, and you said you knew her mother, Krishna Nandini, and who's married to a Muslim.
Yes.
And she said, you know, she knows some Christians who are much more, I'm just paraphrasing her and not exactly her words, but who are much more into God than maybe many Hare Krishnas. So
Mm-hmm.
this respect for different traditions is a thing that's, you know, relevant to our age at the moment. I don't know why in that period of India, you know, they like even Shankaracharya, you know, was like, oh, the Buddhists, you know, brought down whatever, and Shankaracharya revived certain branch of Hinduism. I just don't know what the beef was with all these arguments. Instead
Why
of,
they're calling them crocodiles? Yeah.
you
Okay.
know, instead of loving one another.
Yeah. Let me try something here, and let's see how this fits. Um, there's Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan realization of God, and it's kind of like the we went through the five elements and the five rasas, and how um, within the element of space you have sound, then the element of air introduces touch, so you have both sound and touch. As you go up progressively higher and higher, then you get everything from the previous ones. So I think what they're saying is these are inferior understandings. They're incomplete. Um, let's see, through, let's see, also Sat Chit Ananda. You have eternity, knowledge, and bliss. And in eternity, that means existence, and that comes through Brahman realization. Through Paramatma realization, you get eternity, and you also get knowledge. In Bhagavan realization, you get bliss, the happiness that comes from loving exchange. And that's not available in the previous two. Brahman realization gives you only the bliss of existence. Paramatma gives you knowledge, you get information, but you don't have this loving relationship. One time somebody asked me about this, and this was a Buddhist woman. Are you still there? You're frozen. Are you hearing?
Yeah. My video is just not working.
That's fine. I just want to make sure you're still hearing. So we were reading Bhagavatam as a group, and this elderly Buddhist woman, she asked, wait a minute, what's this Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan? And I thought, oh boy, I don't know if I want to get into all this. But then I tried something. I said, all right, so let's say everyone here has had some kind of spiritual experience where you feel a visitation, there's some divine force. And because I knew everyone in the room they had some kind of experience, and the rest of their life had been spent trying to experience that again. And for a moment, you felt complete. You felt protected. You felt everything is all right. You feel like you're in the hands or in the lap of some loving creator. You're part of the creation. Everything makes sense. And they all nodded their heads. I mean, they did more than nod their heads. Some of them, like, just talking about it brought tears to their eyes. And I said, okay, by a practice of a particular kind of meditation, you can achieve that state and sustain it for long periods. And as it becomes perfected, you actually live there all the time. That's what Brahman realization is. And they all thought, that's wonderful. That's great. As you progress, as you stay in there, as you live in that state, eventually you come to hear a voice that's instructing you, a voice outside of yourself. That's Paramatma realization, where you realize someone is speaking to you. Now, when we're children and we visit our grandparents, and our grandparents smile and they hold us on their lap and they love us and they give us toys and candy, and we just think, I'm everything to these people. They don't exist when I go home. All they do is think about me. Kind of like a child, when a child covers his eyes, he thinks the whole world has gone dark. The world is dark for everyone else because you're so wrapped in your own perception, your own little world. But when you get older and start to grow up and realize your grandparents, they have a separate life. They have a whole other group of friends. There are other people that they love besides just me. That's what Bhagavan realization is like. When you understand there's a whole circle of people, that voice does not exist just to speak to me. That voice has other voices that he listens to and has very close, loving relationships with. That is what Bhagavan realization is about. So to cut oneself off, to adhere to a philosophy that prevents you from going in there, that's why they feel so strongly against these other philosophies that say that's all there is. That's as far as it goes. They put those limitations on God. So did that kind of help?
No,
Because
because that's not what the other philosophies do. This is their understanding of what the
Uh-huh.
other you know, yeah, I don't agree.
Okay.
But it's okay. I mean, it's okay. Like I said, I've never heard the Buddhists or anyone else say, well, this is the only way to attain, our path's the only path, etc., etc.
Mhm.
And I'm with Ramakrishna, who experienced different kinds of paths, and then he realized, he was. You have to experience it before you can make a judgment.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So you have to be Buddhist and practice, which would take a lifetime before you can make a judgment about it. Or Jain. I mean, I'm sure the Jains have their own understanding of their path. It's just interesting. I think in India there's a history of this. Like at the Kumbh Mela, they fight about who's going to, have the first dip in the river, the first day. They actually take to arms. I mean, it's a little bit ridiculous, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And
Yeah.
what I'm saying for is this, in this day and age, how relevant is this?
Yeah.
It would be an interesting history paper there.
Well, I would really like to sit with you and Radhanath Swami and hear how he sorts this out. Um,
but I think Shankaracharya, if you see Advaita philosophy, is just different school of thought. And during that time, it wasn't completely about Vedas because Buddhism developed during that time, mostly to like because on the animal killing and other aspects of Hinduism that was not right. And then, like my understanding, I might be wrong.
mhm.
So that's how he challenges everyone. Not because like to prove it right or anything, but he just wanted to put the conversation of Vedas, and he actually challenges with the Buddhist monks, uh, with the understanding of the different philosophies. It's not like he was against it, but he was just trying to like you know understand or like prove a point, maybe. Like that's what I have understood by reading works
Yeah.
of Shankaracharya.
Okay. Yeah.
I think because debate in Hinduism, like any school of thought, is always questioned, like whether it's Bhagavad Gita or Shiva Purana, you always like question and understand. So that's what Shankaracharya was trying to do, because he felt that that would just had like, because they believed that Atman does not exist, and he believed Atman existed, and that's why he went throughout the country to like debate on the school of thought he believes in, uh, and that was like a popular kind of thing that time.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, there's the history of that. I don't get it. I'm an outsider. I'm just in and like I'm here for the good stuff. But then these things come up and
Well, don't get me wrong, I am too, but I just had to bring it up. I mean, it doesn't mean, my point is, it doesn't mean that in this day and age that we have to just accept statements like that, without questioning. And that's what I'm doing. And I'm being very honest with all of you. It doesn't mean that I reject everything else that's being said. I told you that I do accept it. I just don't understand this judgments on other paths. That's all.
yeah, it's going to come up. It's going to come
I
up.
know it's going to come up. I think there's a history of this in India.
Yeah, boy, and even the happy Caitanya people are going to be doing it too. Um,
Mhm.
he's
Well,
even going
Christianity does the same thing too.
to.
Um, that's why there's so many different versions or different sects, within
Flavors, yeah.
Christianity, because they broke off because they thought the group they were in was wrong. But I think in the last while, it's becoming people are becoming more ecumenical and realizing that you don't have to be right. You don't have to be the one that's right.
Ecumenical, what does that mean?
Interfaith refers to working between different religions, whereas ecumenical means working with different traditions within the same religion, I guess. So,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
That makes sense.
because he felt like it was incomplete without Atman. Then he questioned, if there is no Atman, then how do you explain reincarnation? How do you explain karma if there is no Atman? So
Mhm.
he wanted to like question things like that. It's very interesting topic to read actually. But
Yeah.
I'm not fully aware, but it's very interesting what went on during that period. He wanted to like establish Sanatana Dharma, and Buddhism was the majority religion during that time. And uh, he wanted to do that by actually questioning the logic of their philosophy. And they had debates with each other's philosophy of like, to understand what Atman is, because he believed that Atman exists.
Yeah. Boy, we could go on unpacking this. One thing to address what Matthew said, ecumenical means working within the same discipline and kind of just getting along and overlooking um, tiny differences. Is that right?
yeah, that's a good
That's
distinction. Yeah.
and that's the biggest challenge because, like, we'll see, like some ISKCON
Because
temples will be
I
like,
think on a spiritual level, there is no difference, but it is just us who have created it. Because, like, we do have different sampradaya or different ways to reach the same God.
mhm,
Because you'll see not people following different sampradaya and everyone, but I think it's just different school of thoughts. On a higher spiritual level, there is no difference, but I might be very wrong.
yeah.
I
What I,
don't know.
what I was getting to was that for those that are really close, practically the same thing, they have the hardest time getting along. Um, if you're in a group and then this other group has split off from it just from a tiny little thing because you think you should wear red and they think you should wear blue. So they're the blue ones, and like, oh man, stay away from those people. They're really bad. They wear blue scrubs when you should be wearing a gray T-shirt. Sporty's got it right. She's wearing gray. We're in the same group. Uh, but
And I think that, like, in my experience with Hare Krishna, you see both things being said. A lot of times, Prabhupada would say things like, you can take what I have to offer and add it to what you already are doing or believing.
mm-hmm.
Um, and then he turns around and makes other statements that are critical of other traditions. So it's hard to reconcile those things. But, we all have our own biases and our own agendas and our own life experience that could lead into that kind of thing.
Yeah. And
Mhm.
Prabhupada was also very strong. Don't change anything. Stay. Yeah, you got to stay really close to what we're about. Um, so he said everything, and he actually did say all of those things from person to person. in different situations, different circumstances. So here, they're just wanting to establish this is the highest thing. Those things that Ramananda Roy and Lord Chaitanya were speaking about are the highest pinnacle. And they want to establish that through words, through scriptural evidence. And it was a big deal. And one of the things he was fighting against was the Brahminical grip that only Brahmins can take part in this. So Lord Chaitanya did that verse we read, Kiba Vipra Kiba Nyasi Shudra Keninai Ye Krishna Tattva Veta Se Guru Hai. If you know the science of Krishna, it doesn't matter if you're a Shudra or a Vipra or a sannyasi, you can be a guru. All right, well let's just go on, and we'll just apologize to Anandi.
No, don't get me wrong. I mean,
No, I get it. I get it. And I'm with you on this too. Sometimes I wish we didn't have to be like this, but there is something to it. I'm just not very good at presenting it. So let's just read it and have fun. That's all we're here for anyway.
mm-hmm.
Somebody, once there was a split going on in ISKCON, this group was getting powerful and about to break away, and I was asking one devotee, well, which one do you think is going to be prominent in 100 years? And he said, the one with the most money, the one that provides the best schools and builds the nicest temples. And I said, no, it's the one with the right philosophy. He said, nope, it's the one that provides the best schools, provides the best facilities for devotees, and has the best cooking. That's really what it comes down to. If you have a nice place to come to and nice things going on for the kids, people are going to tolerate all kinds of crazy philosophy. Just look at the Mormons. I lived there for a year, and their philosophy is kind of unusual. True. He said, if you want to speak about Krishna consciousness to the Mormons, just say the weirdest things you can find in our books. And they'll say, oh, this is really interesting. This sounds like what we're about. True story. And he's been successful there. But they've got a really good infrastructure. They work together. And that's why it's spreading like crazy. One of the fastest growing religions in the world. Infrastructure. So Anandi read, who's next? Suprita, text 6.
Because it is impossible for me to record all these places in chronological order, I will simply make a token gesture of recording them. As previously stated, all the residents of the villages visited by Lord Chaitanya became Vaishnavas and began to chant Hari and Krishna. In this way, in all the villages visited by the Lord, everyone became a Vaishnava, devotee. In South India, there were many types of people. Some were philosophical speculators and some were fruitive workers. But in any case, there were innumerable non-devotees. By the influence of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these people abandoned their opinions and became Vaishnavi, devotees of Krishna. Can I say something?
Yeah, everybody's been saying something but you.
Yeah. In India, there are so many different kinds of gods being worshipped, like so many demigods, like there are so many. So I feel like Vaishnava Sampradaya means that you have to worship who the demigods are getting their power from. So I feel like there is a philosophy in Vaishnavism that Krishna is the ultimate goal. So we should not get, drifted with
Yeah,
all these.
yeah. For people like Matthew and me, it's not an issue. We've, uh, we've never come into that. We've come into this just through Prabhupada's books, and yeah. But I can imagine growing up in India, and some Indian people have said that that was the hardest thing for them coming into ISKCON, to give up worshiping their family deity, and they felt like we've been worshiping Lord Shiva for generations, and our family's been doing well. If I stop, I don't I don't trust what may happen. And so they'll continue worshiping Lord Shiva and feel really guilty. And so people like that, I just say, don't feel guilty, just keep doing it. That's great. Look at my family's tradition. We don't have anything like that. Keep that going, and it's fine. But you can add worshiping Krishna to that and see where your heart goes.
I
Uh,
think we have like two kind of like what we have raised is one is your Kula Devata, which is
mhm,
your family god, the
yeah.
god your family prays to, and generations they have been praying to. And one is your Ishta Devata,
Hmm.
which is the god you love or you have faith in. Like it could be Shiva, Ganesha, or any other demigod or anything. So, like, that's how we have the idols in our house. One is your family god idol, and one is the god you love.
Yeah,
And the god you love is the god you pray to every time. Although you do the rituals for the other god and keep them happy, but
yeah,
it's Ishta Devata.
yeah, yeah. So you guys grew up with all of that. We grew up just watching television, and that was our deity. But I've been ignoring that deity lately. Um,
It's confusing actually. Like we have so many gods. I have so many idols in my home.
uh-huh. Okay. I don't know how to address that. Let's just move on. Let's see. Lord Chaitanya is going to visit a lot of different kinds of temples. Here we go. Your turn, Spurti.
Oh, 11, right?
Is that right? Did
611.
Suprita read,
Yeah,
right?
yep, 11.
At the time, all South India Vaishnavas were worshippers of Lord Ramachandra. Some were Tattvavadis and some were followers of Ramanujacharya. After meeting Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these different Vaishnavas became devotees of Krishna and began chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. O Lord Ramachandra, descendant of Maharaja Raghu, kindly protect me. O Lord Krishna, killer of the Kasi demon, kindly protect me. While walking on the road, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to chant this Rama Raghava mantra. Chanting in this way, he arrived at the banks of Gautami Ganga and took his bath there. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then went to Mallikarjun Tirtha and saw the deity of Lord Shiva there. He also induced all the people to chant the Hare Krishna Mahamantra.
There he saw Lord Mahadev, Shiva, the servant of Lord Ram. He then went to Ahovala Nrsimha. Upon seeing the Ahovala Nrsimha deity, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered many prayers unto the Lord. He then went to Siddhavat, where he saw the deity of Ramachandra, the Lord of Sita Devi. Upon seeing the deity of Lord Ramachandra, the descendant of King Raghu, The Lord offered his prayers and obeisances. Then a Brahmin invited the Lord to take lunch. That Brahmin constantly chanted the holy name of Ramachandra. Indeed, but for chanting Lord Ramachandra's holy name, that Brahmin did not speak a word. That day, Lord Caitanya remained there and accepted prasadam at his house. After bestowing mercy upon him in this way, the Lord proceeded ahead. Okay. The devotees, on the 500th anniversary of Lord Chaitanya's appearance, this was 1986, they celebrated by having a padayatra. They started in Bengal, and then they walked to Jagannath Puri, then all the way to the southern tip of India, Kanyakumari, then up into Dwaraka, and they spent 2 years doing this, walking, and every night stopping at a village and holding a big festival out in the middle of the street. You had oxen pulling the cart with the deities of Lord Chaitanya. And the devotee that was on that, he said there was someone that joined them and was walking with them for some time through South India. And all he ever said was Ram, 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 Ram. He never said anything else. So they called him Ram Ram. They'd ask him, what's your name? Ram, 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 Ram. So they just called him Ram Ram. And so he walked with them for a long, long time and did a lot of service. So he was just like this guy that Lord Chaitanya met. What did he say? Brahman invited the Lord to take lunch. The Brahmin constantly chanted the holy name of Ramachandra. Didn't speak another word other than Ramchandra. Lord remained there, accepted prasad at his house, bestowed his mercy upon him, and proceeded ahead. Okay, go ahead, Matthew 21.
At the holy place known as Skanda Kshetra, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Skanda. From there, he went to Trimata, where he saw the Vishnu deity Trivikrama. After visiting the temple of Trivikrama, the Lord returned to Siddhavata, where he again visited the house of the Brahmana, who was now constantly chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. After finishing his lunch there, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked the Brahmana, "My dear friend, kindly tell me what your position is now. Formerly, you were constantly chanting the holy name of Lord Rama. Why are you now constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna?" The Brahmana replied, "This is all due to your influence, sir. After seeing you, I have lost my lifelong practice."
From my childhood, I have been chanting the holy name of Lord Ramachandra, but upon seeing you, I chanted the holy name of Lord Krishna just once. Since then, the holy name of Krishna has been tightly fixed upon my tongue. Indeed, since I have been chanting the holy name of Krishna, the holy name of Lord Ramachandra has gone far away. From my childhood, I have been collecting the glories of the holy name from revealed scriptures. The supreme absolute truth is called Rama because the transcendentalists take pleasure in the unlimited true pleasure of spiritual existence. The word Krish is the attractive feature of the Lord's existence, and Na means spiritual pleasure. When the verb Krish is added to the affix Na, it becomes Krishna, which indicates the absolute truth.
As far as the holy names of Rama and Krishna are concerned, they are on an equal level, but for further advancement, we receive some specific information from the revealed scriptures. Lord Shiva addressed his wife Durga. "O Varanana, I chant the holy name of Rama, 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 and thus enjoy this beautiful song. The holy name of Ramachandra is equal to 1,000 holy names of Lord Vishnu. The pious results derived from chanting the 1,000 holy names of Vishnu 3 times can be attained only one utterance of the holy name of Krishna. According to this statement of the Shastras, the glories of the holy name of Krishna are unlimited. Still, I could not chant his holy name. Please hear the reason for this. My worshipable, my worshipable Lord has been Lord Ramachandra, and by chanting his holy name, I received happiness. Because I received such happiness, I chanted the holy name of Lord Rama day and night.
By your appearance, Lord Krishna's holy name has appeared, and at that time the glories of Krishna's name awoke in my heart. Sir, you are that Lord Krishna himself. This is my conclusion. Saying this, the Brahmin fell down at the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. After showing mercy to the Brahmin, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left the next day and arrived at Vridhakashi, where he visited the temple of Lord Shiva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu then left Vridhakashi and proceeded further. In one village, he saw that most of the residents were Brahmins, and he took his rest there. Due to the influence of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, many millions of men came just to see him. Indeed, the assembly, being unlimited, its members could not be counted.
The Lord's bodily features were very beautiful, and in addition, he was always in the ecstasy of love of Godhead. Simply by seeing him, everyone began chanting the holy name of Krishna, and thus everyone became a Vaishnava devotee. There are many kinds of philosophers. Some are logicians who follow Gautama or Kananda. Some follow the Mimamsa philosophy of Jaimini. Some follow the Mayavada philosophy of Shankaracharya, and others follow Kapila's Sankhya philosophy, or the mystic yoga system of Patanjali. Some follow the Smriti Shastra, composed of 20 religious scriptures, and others follow the Puranas and the Tantra Shastra. In this way, there are many different types of philosophers. All of these adherents of various scriptures were ready to present the conclusions of their respective scriptures. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke all their opinions to pieces and established his own cult of bhakti based on the Vedas, Vedanta, and Brahma Sutra, and the philosophy of Achintya Vibhaveda Tattva. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu established the devotional cult everywhere. No one could defeat him. Being thus defeated by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all these philosophers and their followers entered into his cult. In this way, Lord Chaitanya made South India into a country of Vaishnavas.
Anandi.
When the non-believers heard of the erudition of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, they came to him. One of them was a leader of the Buddhist cult and was a very learned scholar. To establish the 9 philosophical conclusions of Buddhism, he came before the Lord and began to speak. Although the Buddhists are unfit for discussion and should not be seen by Vaishnavas, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spoke to them just to decrease their false pride. The scriptures of the Buddhist cult are chiefly based on argument and logic, and they contain 9 chief principles. Because Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu defeated the Buddhists in their argument, they could not establish their cult. The teacher of the Buddhist cult set forth the 9 principles, but Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu broke them to pieces with his strong logic.
Is Suprita with us?
Yeah. All mental speculators and learned scholars were defeated by Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when the people began to laugh, the Buddhist philosophers felt both shame and fear. The Buddhists could understand that Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was a Vaishnava, and they returned home very unhappy. Later, however, they began to plot against the Lord. Having made their plot, the Buddhists brought a plate of untouchable food before Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and called it Mahaprasadam. When the contaminated food was offered to Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, a very large bird appeared on the spot, picked up the plate in its beak, and flew away. Indeed, the untouchable food fell upon the Buddhists, and the large bird dropped the plate on the head of the chief Buddhist teacher. When it fell on his head, it made a big sound.
So why was it untouchable food?
I don't know.
I think it was like remnants or something uneatable. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, it doesn't say. Sporty? We can't hear you.
You're muted.
The plate was made of metal, and when its edge hit the head of the teacher, it cut him, and the teacher immediately fell to the ground unconscious. When the teacher fell unconscious, his Buddhist disciples cried aloud and ran to the lotus feet of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu for shelter. They all prayed to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, addressing him as the Supreme Personality of Godhead themselves and saying, "So please excuse our offenses, please have mercy upon us, and bring our spiritual master back to life." The Lord then replied to the Buddhist disciples, "You should all chant the name of Hare Krishna and Hare very loudly near the ear of your spiritual master. By this method, your spiritual master will regain his consciousness." Following Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's advice, all the Buddhist disciples began to chant the holy name of Krishna congregationally.
When all the disciples chanted the holy names of Krishna, Rama, and Hari, the Buddhist teacher regained consciousness and immediately began to chant the holy name of Lord Hari. When the spiritual master of the Buddhists began to chant the holy names of Krishna and submitted to Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, all the people who were gathered there were astonished. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Shachi Devi, then suddenly and playfully disappeared from everyone's sight, and it was impossible for anyone to find him. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu next arrived at Tirupati and Tirumala, where he saw a four-handed deity. Then he proceeded toward Venkata Hill. After arriving at Tirupati, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Ramachandra. He offered his prayers and obeisances before Ramachandra, the descendant of King Raghu.
Everywhere Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went, his influence astonished everyone. He next arrived at the temple of Pana Nrsimha. The Lord is so merciful. In great ecstatic love, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered obeisances and prayers unto Lord Nrsimha. The people were astonished to see Lord Chaitanya's influence. Arriving at Shiva Kanchi, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the deity of Lord Shiva. By his influence, he converted all the devotees of Lord Shiva into Vaishnavas. The Lord then visited a holy place known as Vishnu Kanchi. There he saw Lakshmi Narayan deities, and he offered his respects and many prayers to please them. When Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed at Vishnu Kanchi for 2 days, he danced and performed kirtan in ecstasy. When all the people saw him, they were converted into devotees of Lord Krishna.
Anandi?
Oh, sorry. After visiting Trimalaya, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to see Trikalahasti. There he saw Lord Shiva and offered him all respects and obeisances. At Pakshitirtha, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Shiva. Then he went to Ridikoa, a place of pilgrimage. At Ridikoa, Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Shweta Varaha, the white boar incarnation. After offering him respects, the Lord visited the temple of Lord Shiva, where the deity is dressed with yellow garments. After visiting the temple of Siyati Bhairavi, a form of goddess Durga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, the son of Mother Sachi, went to the bank of the river Kaveri. The Lord then visited a place known as Go Samaja, where he saw Lord Shiva's temple. He then arrived at Vedavanu, where he saw another deity of Lord Shiva and offered him praise.
Seeing the Shiva deity named Amritalinga, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu offered his obeisances. Thus, he visited all the temples of Lord Shiva and converted the devotees of Lord Shiva into Vaishnavas. At Devasthana, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu visited the temple of Lord Vishnu, and there he talked with the Vaishnavas in the disciplic succession of Ramanujacharya. These Vaishnavas are known as Sri Vaishnavas. At Kumbhakarna Kapala, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw a great lake and then the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, where a temple of Lord Shiva is located. After visiting the holy place named Shiva Kshetra, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu arrived at Papanashana, and there he saw the temple of Lord Vishnu. Then he finally reached Sri Ranga Kshetra. After bathing in the river Kaveri, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu saw the temple of Ranganatha and offered his ardent prayers and obeisances, and thus he felt himself successful.
Have you ever been there, Ranga Kshetra?
Yeah, my family deity is Ranganatha.
Oh,
So we used to go there often.
Ranga Kshetra. Ranganath. Okay, let's see, what was the other one?
Adi Ranga, Madhya Ranga.
Okay, yeah, Ranganath.
Yeah.
Ranga Kshetra. Did you go there too, Sporty?
No, but I know like they have like 3 temples and you have to visit them in the same day. My mom went, so.
Uh-huh.
But
And Ranganath is a great big, is that the one where he's the Vishnu lying down?
Yes.
He's really big.
oh, the one in Kerala?
Oh, he's in Karnataka also.
Ranganath is Karnataka, the East Coast.
Oh,
Yeah, this is the one near Kaveri.
Okay, go ahead, Sporty.
in the temple of Ranganatha, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu chanted and danced in ecstatic love of Godhead. Seeing his performance, everyone was struck with wonder. A Vaishnava known as Venkata Bhatta then invited Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home with great respect. Sri Venkata Bhatta took Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to his home. After he washed the Lord's feet, all the members of his family drank the water. After offering lunch to the Lord, Venkata Bhatta submitted that the period of Chaturmasya had already arrived. Venkata Bhatta said, "Please be merciful to me and stay at my house during Chaturmasya. Speak about Lord Krishna's pastimes and kindly deliver me by your mercy."
Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu remained at the house of Venkata for 4 continuous months. The Lord passed his days in great happiness, enjoying the transcendental mellow of discussing Lord Krishna's pastimes. So did you know that when you visited Ranga Kshetra that Lord Chaitanya stayed there for 4 months?
No, I wish I knew. I would have
Yeah,
played harder.
and Venkata Bhatt is the father of, is it Gopal Bhatta? We're gonna read about that. One of the 6 Goswamis. And so he'll stay there for 4 months and they have some pretty interesting conversations. So that's where we will pick up tomorrow. Okay, so we'll start on text 85. Wow.
Okay.
All right. Wow, I'm so glad we don't have to wait all week. Some reading groups, we meet once a week. This is daily, so this is good.
It's a
And you
little
guys-
hard to join on weekends, but